Broadcast is live. All right, everybody. Welcome to the first live episode of the Pirates podcast, to be named later. We figured since the season was live, we'd go live too. We are here to answer all of your questions. Well, when I say we, Alex is here to answer all your questions. For those of you that don't know, I'm Eddie Provident. This is Alex Stumpf next to me. We are sorry. We said 7:30, but the IT guy was having some issues with his IT. And I forgot to reboot it, turn it back off, or turn it off and turn it back on again. But we finally got all the tech issues taken care of. Alex, we had some real baseball. Pirates win 5-4. Cruz hits a monster home run. We've got small ball that I want to talk to you about. Just a great day for baseball yesterday, man.
It was. And actually, it was one of those games that you leave the clubhouse and you think they won that game because they didn't screw anything up.
Yep.
Like like years past, we would have seen an error. We would have seen, not coming through in a clutch situation. That runner on third would be stranded. But no, they just did what they had to do, and they won.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that game a little later down the road, but I'm not going to kid anyone else here.
There's some other big news.
Half hour or however long we're doing this show, the first half, whatever it is, we're going to talk Bryan Reynolds.
Did something happen off the field?
Yeah, lots happened off the field. It's been interesting. We'll call it 30-ish hours.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So for those of you who have been out of the loop, brace yourself for this.
It's a lot.
Because the Pirates and Bryan Reynolds were somehow able to close this $50+ million gap that they had between their two offers and actually have the agreed upon money for a long-term extension. But
there's always a but with this baseball team.
There's one but here. It's contingent on one thing. And that's Bryan Reynolds wants an opt-out in the contract, and the Pirates don't want to give it. And even though they agree on money, that is the one thing that is holding this all up. And I can't believe, I genuinely, to opine for a second, I can't believe it's not money that's the issue here, because they were $50-something million apart. Like that's a lot of money for this club. That's a lot of money for this club. They went from Pirates offering $680 and Reynolds wanting something a little north of $130 to this deal, which is 7 years, $100 million, believed to be $700 on top of what he's got going on in 2023. I don't know why everyone's calling it an 8-year deal or extension whenever it doesn't add any new money, it sounds like, for this year. So I don't know. I'm going to refer to it as 7-100 throughout the rest of this podcast, video, live stream, just for clarification's purposes. By math, we all get to the same point that with the other reporters' math on this. But yeah, it's does Reynolds get that opt-out after 2026, which would be 3 years into the new deal, which would leave 4 years on the back end, which most of this money is back end. It's pushed towards the back to help the Pirates be competitive now. It's an interesting.
Can I ask you a question before we get to the listener questions, viewer questions?
And if anyone does have questions,
yes,
if you're listening to this on YouTube or Facebook, drop them.
This first segment is going to be the Alex show. I don't have much to add to this. I'm not an insider. I'm just a host. So here's my thought on this, Alex. If I'm the Pirates and Bryan Reynolds comes down that far, I am running and signing, and I don't care what he asks for on top of that. I'm taking that deal. Why is an opt-out such a big deal for this baseball team that is prone to trade players away anyways?
Well, the reason for the opt-out is it gives Bryan Reynolds security.
Right.
And there is a chance with this opt-out that one of two things happens. That either A, Bryan Reynolds plays really well over these first couple years and he becomes a free agent after, which kind of defeats the purpose of a long-term deal if you're on the Pirates end.
Right.
Because it's like, well, we're giving you this money so you can be good for us for a long time. It kind of defeats that purpose, even though it does extend how long they would have him under team control by 1 year, guaranteed. The other and more risky for the Pirates is if Reynolds gets hurt or he's just not that good or whatever, then if he doesn't opt out, the Pirates kind of could have an albatross, 4-year contract that has the majority of that $100 million on it. Don't have direct specifics on how much is, going to be in these first 3 years compared to those last 4 years, but there's more in the last 4 years. And the way it's kind of been described to me, I'm inclined to believe it's a lot more in those last 4 years. So that could be detrimental if this team is competitive, but then they can't add because you've got Bryan Reynolds, on that. There's a lot of risk on the Pirates side that they would assume with this.
Okay.
But like you said, Reynolds took his asking price way down here. That's their thing. Like, look, we get you're taking more risk here. We're also leaving 34, 35, whatever $million on the table of what we originally wanted. So,
and it's safe to assume that if he would get traded or something were to happen where he ends up on another, he's getting that money from another team. Like another team is going to pay him a lot closer to his asking price. He's definitely taking a hometown discount here. We've got some questions lined up. I'm going to start getting into it. Yeah,
I'm going to keep going, but we got a couple questions here. Get to you. Jeremy Morrison asks, don't you think it's because they don't want him to opt out before they can trade him and get something for him at the end of the deal, similar to the Kutch deal? I get the Kutch comparison. The difference is at the end of this deal, if there was no opt-out, Reynolds would be 34, 35. He'd be in his mid-30s at this point, where Kutch was 30 or 31. I can't remember exactly. And 3 or 4 years gap, that's going to be quite the difference in what you could get in a return. I don't think they aren't signing Bryan Reynolds to a record-setting deal or this close to a record-setting deal with Bryan Reynolds with in mind of like, how are we going to trade him in a couple years? Like that's not on their forefront, on their mind. They want to do this deal because they want him to be a Pirate for a very long time. And honestly, if there's anything that you have to worry about with that trade is that scenario of he's not quite that good and he's getting all this money and it's hurting. So,
yeah.
Josh asks, do you think that a player or team option after, say, 2027 could get it done? Gives both an out for whatever reason they chose, or if they are good, they keep the contract as is. Also seems crazy they don't want to do the no trade clause. He can waive it anyway if they want to trade him somewhere he wants to go. Whenever I initially saw it, my mind immediately went to like, oh my goodness, the guy who made the trade request wants the no trade clause. But no, that's not it. It was just the verbiage that was out there on the internet. It was like, oh my God, that'd be hilarious at least. Look, this has been a long saga. At least make me laugh during
Right.
Yeah. No, that's I don't think an option is – I don't think this is a money thing anymore. I think both sides have made the commitment that and they're both out, like right on the edge of their comfort zones here of what they're willing to do, that I don't think this is a money thing. Or even like we'll throw a couple more $1 million on the pile and, and you don't get the opt-out. I think we're past all of that with that. It's just – look, the money's agreed to. I can't get over it. The money is, agreed to. That's not what's holding up here.
Alex, do you think on the money issue, though, do you think if the Pirates would have come up in price a little, the opt-out wouldn't have been as big of a deal? If I'm Reynolds in this situation, I almost look at this as a slap in the face that, they lowballed you. If I'm Bryan Reynolds right now, I got lowballed. So I asked, they're nowhere near my ask. It doesn't seem like at the beginning they're willing to negotiate. So I ask for a trade. They pretend look around at trade partners, but they never really were serious about that. Now I finally decide, you know what, I want to stay in Pittsburgh. I like what we're building here. I want to be a part of this baseball team. I'm going to drop my asking price so much that they actually can meet me. And then now we get hung up on an opt out. If I'm Bryan Reynolds, like, I'm done at this point. Like, I'm shocked that he's still negotiating. If I'm him, I'm done, because this is just slap in the face after slap in the face after slap in the face with how this organization is handling this situation. And how relevant do you think that is in his mind? Like, you got to meet me somewhere.
This is the concession that they want. Before going down that $30-something million. And look, the Pirates significantly moved too. Like, not to give participation points here. The fact that the Pirates agreed to money-wise a 9-figure contract it's
a first,
astronomically huge for this organization.
Absolutely,
it shows how seriously they want to get this done. But you also can't ignore that they're moving $20 million off of what they originally asked, and Reynolds is moving 30 to 35. Like,
right.
You could understand why
it's a big deal.
Hey, I should get something more than I want, something else here that I want. So, and Josh, going off your math here, that Reynolds came down roughly $2 million a season. I think you're going off of the 8,106 that's been floating out, which is just, again, the 7-year 100 with this year's 1 year 6.75, which I'm kind of not including until it's kind of hinted that he's making more this year, which I have not heard anything to indicate that. So I'm just viewing this as 7 years, $100 million worth of new money.
Also, that's, even if you take that line of thinking, and not knocking Josh here, but that's still, he's doubling what they are coming down. That's not how negotiations work. You don't give up double what the other side is giving up for it to be fair.
No, and I think, again, I'm not going to just harp on just all this the entire time, I promise. But $35 million is a lot. And it's Reynolds. Say what you want out of all this. And maybe this is something I could appreciate more, just having to do those kind of awkward, interviews in person. Like, he has not BS'd, I don't think, throughout any of this. Like, he came into spring training and said, my number one preference is to sign with the Pirates long-term, to stay here. I like being a Pirate. I like the city. I like the team. I want to be here. I get all that. Like, I think the fact that he was willing to come so far down is legitimate. But like it all comes down to, this is just one last thing, one last obstacle. And as Jeremy put, $14 million is a steal. He'd probably get more of that in arbitration in a year or two. That last year, I think he would get 14.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he'd probably get about 30 million these next 2 years of arbitration, maybe a little less, but again, he's not going to make 30 million these next 2 years or 28 million these next 2 years, because this is more backloaded. This frees up the Pirates to pursue a free agent in these next couple of years, to make this team good now whenever they have this young group of players coming up.
Do you think backloading that deal also, with, in all likelihood, if things stay as they are now, I'm not getting into draft speculation yet, but right now, Dylan Cruz is the odds-on favorite to be, number one overall. Do you think that the Pirates' long-term plan with this deal is to probably trade Reynolds so they don't have to pay him all of that money at the back end, with the hopes that somebody else in the system is going to be ready to play center field or that third outfield, that one of those 3 outfield spots at the major league level?
I was going to say, I think they already have someone that they kind of want to play a lot more center field as in Sawinski.
Sure.
And Bay too. But
yeah, absolutely.
You can't do this all through the farm system, regardless of what anyone says. You have to bring in outside guys, and I think that's on the forefront here for Bryan Reynolds, because, look, I'm going to speculate here for a little bit. Please do not take this as source reporting. This is just me getting to know Bryan a little bit over these last couple years, and just like, the guy doesn't want to spend his career on 100 loss teams the entire way through.
Who would, though?
He does. He really doesn't. And I have to wonder, again, pure speculation, how much does Pirates team performance factor into wanting this opt-out? Because if this team is not good by 2026, I don't know if anyone's still here by that point. Like heads will have rolled by that point. And we're not just talking Shelton. We're probably talking Cherington. We're probably talking maybe Travis Williams. Just like a long list of, if you can't get this team good in 7 years, then no, we have to go to someone else.
Yeah.
At which point, Cruz would be probably 2 years away from free agency and on the trade block. He would be nearing, not at the end of his contract, but nearing it, that you have to wonder if he's on the trade block. Do you think that he really wants to be in a situation where it's like, oh my God, I could go through another rebuild and spend my mid-30s?
Absolutely not.
I have to think, again, pure speculation, that this is part of what's going on with all this. That if this team is not good by 2026, peace, I'm out. Like I'm just bouncing. I'm not going to deal with this.
And honestly, Alex, as much as we may think that there's potential with this baseball team, and there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of young talent. But what have they done to prove to Bryan Reynolds that they can be a winning franchise during his time with the team?
I mean,
they haven't. And I think that what you just said is 100% spot on, that for Bryan Reynolds, yeah, this is a safety net. This is a way for me to, it's the emergency chute. It's if the Pirates can't figure this out, I want to go somewhere that can. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, and depending on how much money's backloaded, he could still probably financially benefit from a new contract after that potential opt-out. I just don't know how this turns out. Like, could they agree to an opt-out but push it back another year, that they, keep that window open another year? And the risk is inherently less that if he stinks, it's like, well, you're only inheriting 3 years of, a bad player at a big contract rather than 4. I don't want to say that's, something that could even be on the table right now, because I don't know that for certain, but I feel like maybe if there's any negotiating left to do with this, it would be that, because unless the Pirates are willing to go way, way up in their offer, and man, it was a grind for both sides to get to this money. I don't know if you dare want to try to screw that up.
So
just take that part as done. This is it. Like this, it's one issue, and I don't see Reynolds moving off of getting an opt-out. Maybe speculation, you could get him to push it back a year to make it a little more friendly, give you a little more team control, give you a little less risk on the back end. But that might be the only thing that could even be potentially negotiated, if that is even on the table. I can't say for certain.
Right. So to wrap up the segment, gun to your head. I know speculating.
I knew you were going to ask it.
You have to. Does the deal get done in season this season?
If it gets done, it gets done sooner rather than later. And I don't know if I don't even think this is an I don't know. I can't see any way this doesn't get done without Bob Nutting giving the big thumbs up of, okay, opt out.
Do you think it happens? Your personal opinion, do you think it happens?
I think there are very motivated people throughout all these negotiations. So please do not take this as certainty. I guess the best I could offer at this time is they're not no, but I will say, gun to my head, I would be a little more optimistic they get it done than not, just because there are motivated people on both sides to get it done. But if it does happen, it's not going to happen in June. It's not going to happen in May. It's
going to happen in April.
In early April.
Okay.
Early April.
And that is, again, Alex's opinion.
Yeah.
This is not a report.
Knowing that Bryan was willing to move off that money, he's that motivated. Ben is that motivated to move up. Bob Nutting is that motivated to greenlight that type of money. It's one last issue, and I don't know how it's going to. Someone might have to go one way or the other. That Bob goes to Ben, or Ben goes to Bob, and just says, "Come on, we're at the 1 yard line."
Well, let's wrap this segment up. Second segment, we'll get in a little bit more fun, talk about some predictions, see what Alex thinks about the baseball team. I'll give my 2 cents as well, but I know everyone wants to hear Alex's thoughts on where this baseball team is going to be in September and October. End the segment 1. We'll be right back.
Hi, Gary.
So do we just start this right in?
We do.
All right. So that was the end of segment 1. We are back. We never really left on the YouTube side if you're watching us live. We've got some more baseball talk, but before we get into the baseball predictions, Alex, there's a question that you ignored from one of your coworkers and one of my former coworkers. What kind of
segment? I'm saving that for segment 3.
Do you want to save it for segment 3?
We're saving it for segment.
All right, we're going to save it for segment 3. We won't. It's a teaser for the next segment. Your thoughts on this baseball team, predictions? I've got a list of predictions I want from you, just some big ticket stuff. We'll save the end of the season record. I couldn't think of the word record there. We will end we'll do the records at the end of this segment. I want to start off with Ji-Hwan Bae, over under 25 steals.
We got a Bae question right here. I've got to put Jeremy back on here.
All right, Jeremy. Great minds think alike, Jeremy.
Love seeing Bae get on base and put pressure on the opposing pitcher. Would love to see him do that on the top of the order. How long do they keep Cruz at leadoff? We'll get to that second one here. Because I'm sure you have a Cruz question coming up, right?
Oh, I've got a couple of Cruz questions.
There we go. Then we'll save that.
We'll call it cruise control.
Yeah. You guys could actually see my pain now that we're doing this on video. This is great. This is great. Wait a minute. I found it's a power, whatever.
The power move, the Alex Stumpf power move. Yeah, so Ji-Hwan Bae, how many steals? I'm going to put the over under 25.
I'm going to take the over there. I mean, he got 2 yesterday.
That's
a pretty good start right there. So it's.
You think I might be a little low on that then?
No, I think 25 is fair, because if he doesn't get 25, it's going to be because he didn't get enough playing opportunity, and there's no guarantee. Boy,
but if he plays the way he did yesterday, yesterday, it'll be hard to keep him out of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean seriously, yesterday was pretty much like a perfect small ball game that you could have asked from a player.
Yeah.
That was
sure.
Was a great game. If he could do something resembling that every game, he's going to have the second base job or an outfield job, or he'll just be in the lineup every.
He'll be the guy. Yeah, he'll just be somewhere. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so we talked about Bryan Reynolds in the first segment. Bryan Reynolds, over under 75 RBIs.
I'll take the over there.
Okay.
I think the only way he doesn't hit 75 with the Pirates is this deal doesn't get done and he gets traded at the deadline, because I'm going to be real with you, Eddie. If you don't get this deal done, I don't think you'll ever get it done. So you may as well look at the trade deadline or those options a lot more seriously. So, but I'll take the over.
Take the over? All right. I'm agreeing with you on 2 of 2 so far, which is starting to scare me, Alex. All right, let's just jump right into some Cruz questions. Everyone talked about him being a 30-30 guy. 30 steals?
I'm more confident about the 30 home runs than I am the 30 steals.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But if I put the over under at 30, you taking the under?
I'll take the under for steals.
Okay.
He can do it. And I'm working on a piece for DK Pittsburgh Sports right now that's been interrupted a couple times today for some reason, about Cruz's potential and what they're working on, what people think about him. There's just so much. The speed is just one of the tools that he has that's outstanding.
Yesterday,
I think he could steal 20 something. Yeah, he can't steal 30. Hell, he could steal 40 if he really went all out for it, but I think 20-something's more likely.
Yeah, man, I want to say over. So you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say over. I'm going to say I'm going to say he gets 35. I'm going to go 35 steals. Why not? Right? I'm going to be the bullish guy here.
I'll say 22.
And you know what? I think that he gets one extra steal for every pizza that Gary Morgan does eat. Don't stop eating pizza, Gary. I'm looking at the comments. All right, let's stick with Cruz. Does he hit 40 home runs this year?
No.
I
30.
I staunchly disagree with you.
You told me your number before we got started, and Eddie, I love you, man, but it's his first full year in the majors, dude. Maybe one day. I don't
47 home runs for the big guy. I'm sticking with it. I'm planting my flag in this Monroeville dirt on 47 home runs for O'Neal Cruz. And dude, after what I look, I get it. One game, I understand. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But the way he turned on that 101 mile an hour fastball, whoo, man, that was a thing of beauty. That was an absolute thing of beauty.
It was.
Dave White
is coming in here. How many errors does you got to say 47 for this one too, Eddie?
Wait, is he going to be a 30-30-30 guy?
He might. No, I think it'll start with a 2. I think 22, 23.
Wow.
But getting better, I finally got some insight of what they're really working on, what he's really doing, and I think it's all achievable. How about that?
I'm with you. Listen, people are gonna start thinking that I'm like the Pirates, the Pirates like cheerleader guy. I've been so mad at this baseball team for quite a few years now, to the point where I had to stop paying attention for a little bit for my sanity. So this is not coming from a homer or a cheerleader for the Buccos, but I honestly think that Cruz is going to be the best Pirate since Barry Bonds. I'm so high on this kid, man. Like, I just haven't seen in our organization and in our hometown team, I haven't seen skill like this in my adult life, man. He's special. And I just hope he lives to the potential.
I mean, if we're talking pure potential here, like, who were the last 3 Pirates who came up who have this level of potential? It would be Kutch.
Yep.
It would be Bonds.
Yep.
And it would probably be, after that, Dave Parker.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. It's exciting how good he can be, but it's just like that, can he get there kind of thing? Like, we're so spoiled in Pittsburgh that, Lemieux got there. Ben got there, Crosby got there, Malkin got there, like Clemente, even going that far back, Clemente. We've had some special ball players and athletes. Can Cruz get there? I think it is.
Jeremy, to answer your question, technically he got half a year or whatever it was day-wise, but he doesn't have the full year yet, so he's got 6 years of team control remaining.
Okay. Let's see what else here. What else?
Oh, I thought you had a list.
I did, but I just had 3 or 4. Okay. Does Brian Hayes finally get his Gold Glove this year?
I think he hits enough to get his Gold Glove this year.
All right. I get it, but I also don't get it. Why does it matter what he hits when it comes to the gold freaking glove?
Because
I hate that.
It just does.
I hate that with a passion.
I hate it too. I think. Look, I am admittedly probably biased because I get to watch Hayes every game, and I don't get to watch Arenado after every game. But just Hayes makes so much routine stuff or difficult stuff look routine.
Yeah.
That I think he's the best defensive player, second best defensive infielder I've seen in my life, but behind Jack Wilson. For a Pirate, I guess I should qualify. Like, and I don't know if it's going to be Jack Wilson for much longer. It could be Hayes.
Yeah, Dave White brings up a good point, though, if you want to pop that up on the screen. Yeah. If he can stay healthy, and that's been a big thing with Key Bryan. We talked about it last week. Part of those health issues, I think, really hampered his hitting. You know, say what you want. You could just say he's not a great offensive guy, and that's fine. I'll have to concede to that point right now. But the injuries last year and the year before, like, they were a part of the hitting problems. All right, last one before we get into records. Who is the standout? I don't want to say rookie because there's more
young player.
Yeah. Who's the standout young player that nobody's expecting? Who really like just kind of sets themselves up, kind of like what Sawinski did last year? It could be someone in the minors right now. It could be somebody on the major league roster. Anybody that just we're not expecting to see right now. Like, we're not expecting them to be a big part of the team, and then they end up becoming that.
So I can't say Endy.
No, you could. Because I think there's still, as much as I want him there, you want him there, we all think he's going to be there. There's still some question. You know, does he fall off in AAA and not make it? So yeah, I'll take Endy. I think Endy's an acceptable answer.
All right, like,
but
if not Endy, I'm really looking forward to see what a 4-pitch Mike Burrows brings to the table.
Oh, I kind of forgot that we could see him this year.
Oh, we will see him this year.
Yeah.
He's on the 40-man.
Yeah, I don't know why I forgot that he would. You know, just kind of one of those brain burp moments for me. I agree with you with Endy, but I've already made my thoughts known about where I think Endy should be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the dude that I'm really excited about, and he's on the roster is Cannon Smith and Jigba. I think he brings a lot to the table. He's athletic. He's everything you want in an outfielder, and I think he's going to be a lot more than what we anticipated. And you know, I think there's a lot of people that have high hopes for him. So I think that could be maybe setting the bar too high, but yeah, he's the one that I'm excited for as far as the young guys go. And you know what? We'll put David White. I'm going to shout David White out again. I'm sucking up to the listeners and viewers. How many homers for CSN this year?
I don't know if he's here the whole year. Like, that is my ultimate party pooper. He definitely could be. He definitely could be. He definitely could just take the job, and that's that. But
if he, let's say he's here if he's 80%, if he's 80% of the season, how many home runs do you think he hits?
I'm just going to say 500 if he qualified for the batting title.
Okay.
Low 20s.
Wow. Okay. All right.
He could do it.
Wow. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Final one. Where do they land record-wise this year?
72 and 90, a 10-game improvement, and they sneak into third place in a weak NL Central.
Okay. I've got them at 77 and my math, 77 and 83, right? 85.
Yeah.
I partied a lot in college. I didn't take any math classes. It's been a while. 77 and 85 is where I've got them. I think they're a few games better than what you think, and I just think it's because the division's so weak. And I honestly think April's going to be a big month for them. I think they're going to get hot. I think having Kutch around and the energy when they get to PNC Park, I think they're going to feed off of that as a young team. And then I think they'll kind of, even out from there. But I think there's going to be a little surge in April where we see some exciting baseball and they win maybe a couple of games that they shouldn't. And then, so I think that gets them to 77.
So if they do get to 77, or I have said, I think there is a roadmap for this team to go 500 or better. Like, or even maybe
I think there's a roadmap.
There's just very little wiggle room.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's happening. But if it was to happen, getting through April 500-ish would be a big part of it. And whenever you get that Dodgers series, that Astros series, that White Sox series, that trip to Chicago, to St. Louis, like, you get all that out of the way. If you're hovering around 500, not saying like, they're in it, they're competitors at that point.
Right. I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not going to actually better.
I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters in April. My thought process is there's going to be a couple of games at home. There's going to be a little stretch here in April where we see like them running just off of pure emotion, especially, that first series at home. I think the crowd's going to be a big part of that. I think the city is excited about this team for a change, and young players tend to feed off of stuff like that a lot more than veterans do. So I think that's going to be a little bit of, what we see. Excuse me. So yeah, hey, listen, there's no way they're worse than last year and or as bad as last year. So I say that now.
I said that last year too. Though.
Yeah, but I do think that we've got the Pirates have some talent. I do think that we've got a lot to look forward to with this baseball team this year. I really do. I think this is going to be a fun baseball season.
Well, we got one more prediction here. Who wins the World Series? Who over who?
Ooh.
You didn't prepare this one?
No, I was just talking Pirates.
Well, I mean, it's baseball.
I was just thinking Pirates, man. Listen, I had a 40-hour work week. You go and I'll think about it. Give me a second.
Okay. And the ultimate expansion, oh my God, it actually happened. The San Diego Padres lose the World Series to the Seattle Mariners. I am buying all in on the Young Mariners. They are the team that we thought the Blue Jays were going to be a couple years ago.
Wow. Okay. I am going to go. I'm going to go. All right. I'm going to go. I hate myself for even saying this. I think the Yankees win it. And I think the Yankees win it over San Diego as well. I got San Diego in it. I hate saying the. I'm gonna go shower after this, man. Like this, I can't believe I just said that.
All right. Well, we're gonna put Eddie back in the corner here for the rest of.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but I see that team and they're due. It's New York. They're just too good, man. They're loaded.
If the pitching gets healthy at some point, yeah.
Yeah, I think it will. Sorry.
We got one more segment of show coming up here. We'll be back in just a second. All right, Taylor, you win. All the way back up.
Yeah, I'm scrolling. All right. Welcome back for the third and final segment of the Pirates podcast to be named later. We could not ignore Taylor. I'm going to read it for you. What kind of season are you expecting out of Potato Pete? And do you have the scoop on what happened between him and Pizza Penny?
Okay, you're no longer in timeout, Eddie. Sorry. It's the question that's on everybody's mind right now whenever it comes to Pirates baseball of what happened to Potato Pete and Pizza Penny. Because up until a couple years ago, I kind of assumed these were asexual racing beings. And then the Pirates are like, maybe not. Maybe not. And they eloped and they had this wonderful life. They made all those little mini pierogies that you could get at the Giant Eagle. And Pete's just addicted to the grind. He just has to go back. Pete's got that Sigma male mindset of you got to go back. You got to make sure. Sauerkraut Saul has been an embarrassment to the city over the last year. So he is coming out of retirement. He's going to pull Michael Jordan. He just put the I'm back logo out here. And he and Scottie Pippen are going to run it back 3 more times. So,
which one of the pierogies went 0 for last year? Was it Sauerkraut Saul?
It was Sauerkraut Saul.
Yeah. Do you have the inside scoop on that? And is it okay to talk about the inside scoop on that?
We know the inside scoop.
Yes, we know the inside scoop. But are we allowed to? Is it far enough removed to give the inside scoop?
I will apologize to the person if we
I will apologize to the person because I put you in this mess.
Okay. Saul may not get back into the win column anytime soon. The joke's not dead yet.
It's not dead yet.
As at least the last update I got, it's not dead yet. So they're gonna be maybe Yinzer-Palooza. Saul gets to win, and we all get to be witnesses to history.
We have a group chat that we're gonna have to consult on this one.
Yeah,
because there's another insider that we have in a group chat that that actually is a pierogi, and I don't know if it's I don't know if he still is. That's actually a good question. I'm not going to
worse with your pronouns to keep identity safe.
Yeah, that's true. This person, I don't know if he wants that as public as we could make it. Oh man. Oh, but listen, Andrew Mundy won't care if I put him out.
Oh my god. We're calling it. Thank you guys for showing up for a live episode of the Pirates podcast. Name later. We're going to be doing these probably less often, but if you like this live format, we do 24/7s, Pirates 24/7s, a couple times a week. If you want to participate, we're going to do them. It's going to be just me. Maybe we'll get Eddie off the bench. We'll do these.
We'll see what happens.
Do these,
I'll try to get down to the ballpark.
Yeah. We're going to see how these turn out. But
yeah, it's been
fun.
fun.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk again next week.